Everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to another episode of Platform App Builder Certification Series. So today we're going to talk about the role hierarchies and sharing settings. So that will pretty much sum up our data security for this examination. Okay, so what is role hierarchy, right? So role hierarchy is something. Think about an organization chart, and it shouldn't have to match. I mean, so for instance, right, in your company, think about it from a company perspective. You have um, CEO, right? Then you have under CEO, you have head of different departments, right? And under head of different departments, you have individual workers, right? For instance, under CEO, you have head of sales, you have head of research and development, then you have head of marketing, head of finance, right? And under each head of departments, you have different people working, like financial analyst, you have sales professionals, you have engineers, right? Different department corresponds to different workers, right? So that is something what we call it as role hierarchies, right? Different roles, and it's in the form of like a tree view. I'll show you just a minute how it looks like. That being said, though, the role hierarchy, what you set up in Salesforce, need not have to match exactly with your org chart, right? It could be different, right? So, but you can get the information based on what you have, and you can actually model that based on your existing organization chart, or you can model it based on your business requirement, right? Okay, so that being said, let's jump in. So the first thing first, you need to log into your work. Please do not use Customer Sandbox if you are using this to learn this concept. Cool. Okay, so I'm in the setup page, and the key thing about this is that it might change depending upon the time of the year you're watching, right? Cool. So the quick find will take you to the role hierarchy if you do not know where to look up under this, because there are a lot of options, right? And at times I do not remember. I mean, under what where under what category the roles will fit in. So, at times, so I tend to do quick find, which is very handy. Why would you have to remember, when you can find it, right? Okay, so when I search for a role, as you can see, it comes under users. So go to roles, right? So you will have something like this, right? Sample diagram. And if you do not want to see this, you can turn it off. I mean, I prefer to let it on because, if someone else, who's new wanted to modify it, they can obviously look at this pretty nice looking diagram and get an information what exactly needs to be done, right? Based on what they're trying to achieve. So go to setup roles, and you see I have few roles set up, dummy roles here and there. So, and as you can see, this Wilson Breweries is at the top. There's a company. Then you have a CEO. Then under CFO. Then So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a VP of Sales, right? And I want the VP of Sales to report to CEO, right? So that's my main thing. Okay, so what we're gonna do, so we go here under CEO, right? Under CEO, add role. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is here we can call VP of VP sales, right? That's pretty much you can do, and this role supports the CEO. Let's say I've changed my mind, right? I don't want VP of sales to report to CEO. Instead, I want the VP of sales to report to SVP, right? To senior vice president. Okay, so I'm gonna select that, and I will save it. Okay. Now, I want a user to assign to this role. Let's say I assign, for the sake of argument, we're going to roll all users. I want to assign, select a user for VP sales, right? I'm going to use test, right? Okay, so sounds good. So let's go back to roles again and let's have a look. So we have VP, and so we have different people reporting to SVP, that is VP sales. So under VP sales, so we have, this person belongs to VP sales, right? And we have managed to create a new role who reports to SVP. So now let's look at the user test, and let's go to test. Now you can see that we have a role assigned to this user, SVP. That's why I said the role is not mandatory. You can, if you do not want to assign any role, you can skip it, right? If you want it, you can assign it. It's not like profile, where profile is mandatory for a user, right? The roles are not mandatory. So that's the thing you need to keep into consideration. Cool. Now we have set up the roles, right? So this will, if you remember, we talked about org-wide defaults, right? Where I mentioned that if you have an option selected, let me show you again. Sharing settings and grant access using hierarchy, right? If this is ticked, right, and let's say your record is strictly private, right, then only the person who creates the record, as well as the person above that role hierarchy, will able to see the record. In other words, let's say if I create a record, right? So, and the person who can view the record created by me, first of all, myself, and the second person will be my boss, because he comes atop of my hierarchy, provided if grant using access using hierarchies are ticked. If it is unticked, then my boss won't have access to it, right? Nice and easy, pretty simple concept, right? Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna look at the sharing settings, right? So now, before I jump into sharing settings, I wanted to show you something. So let's go to account, right? It's pretty simple concept, right? Don't freak out. I mean, it's not a rocket science. It's very, very simple concept once you understand the concept. Okay, now I've created this account just to demonstrate sharing account, right? Now, if you scroll down here to this button section, you see there is no sharing option, right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to Salesforce Classic. So go to this profile and switch to Salesforce Classic. And now go to accounts and go to sharing account. Now go to the sharing, right? Now you can see that the only person who have access to this record is Mark Wilson, right? And the person who created it, and full access. Now what I wanted to do, I wanted to give test user access to this record. But now the test user do not belong to the same hierarchy, right? For let's assume for a second that this account is created by the finance team, right? Now, when you create this account so this account is created by finance team, and we have under account private model set into picture, right? Which means that the all belonging to that profile, the role will have access to this account. In other words, only finance team can view this record, right? And finance team and the boss of the finance team will only have access to this record. Now, the VP of sales wants to have access to this account as well. Now, under normal scenario, under normal circumstance, it's not possible because the role hierarchy will not allow VP of sales to have access to it, because the VP of sales belongs to the same role hierarchy. It's a lateral or different role. So the person belonging to VP of sales will not have access to it. So the vice president of sales requested the finance team to give access to all the account that starts with sharing, right? Very simple concept. Okay, so now how to do that? It's pretty simple. You need to use the sharing setting to do that. So let's jump in. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back to Lightning Experience, switch to Lightning. I hope that's clear what I'm trying to say, right? Because you need to understand the concept before you do any hands-on. So you need to understand from a business perspective where will this fit in, right? Because this is very important. So I repeat again. So we have an account called sharing account. I've created that dummy account, right, for demonstration purpose. So the sharing account, for the sake of argument, for now, assume that it belongs to finance team, right? It's created by a person from the finance team. So who will have access to this account? All the members of finance team and the boss of the finance team, right? Now VP of sales have requested they want access to this account. So that's what we're gonna go now. I'll go to do now. We will give access to VP of sales using sharing settings. Okay, so go to setup here, and go to share. Okay, and go to edit. Right. Okay. So now you can see account and contact is private, right? And Granix is using hierarchy is ticked, and you can't untick it. Okay. So you can cancel this one, right? I just wanted to show you first what it meant by that. Okay. Now let's scroll down. Now this is where we have to pay attention. Account sharing rule, because we are sharing an account with a different team, right? So click on new, and we can say new share rule. Okay. So based on criteria, right? And so what we're gonna do, so our criteria is that all account with start to sharing should be given access to VP of sales, right? Okay. Now account name starts with, okay, sharing. Let's see if I spell that correctly, just to make sure. Sharing, right? Okay. Now we're gonna give this to roles, right? And so we're gonna give to VP of sales. Nice and easy, right? Very straightforward. Okay. Now, what access you wanted to give? So, do you want to give only read access? Let's say I would like to give read-write access to this guy, right? And leave all that options as default. Cool. Now I'm going to save it. So it will do some kind of recalculation. So if you come here for a second, so it will take not much, but it'll probably take a few seconds to. Okay, so we have the sharing rules in place now, right? Okay, so let's go back to Salesforce Classic here, and let's see if we got any access to that account. I mean, if test user has any access to that specific account. I mean, I do not like working with Classic. It's a bit clunky, the interface, but yeah, it looks primitive. So we go to sharing. There you are, right? See, now this user, no, all this role will, the user belonging to this role will have access to this specific account. Nice and easy, right? This is exactly how the sharing rules works. Very interesting topic and very simple at the same time. But you need to understand, right? I mean, if you're a Salesforce admin, I would expect you to know this, right? Otherwise, you can't call yourself as an admin if you do not know this option. But that being said, right, if you're going to take Platform App Builder, you need to know this as well. So, and even if you're a platform developer, you still need to know this. It's a handy option, right? So you're working on a platform, so you need to understand the functionality offered by a platform. So yeah, that's pretty much I wanted to talk about today. So I hope this is clear for you guys. So yeah, and please go and read the documentation. It was very handy. So if you go to help page, it often takes you to, the help page is a fantastic place. You can uh, read a lot of stuff about different functionalities offered by um, Salesforce. So you share account, read about how this works, right? And yeah, so this is so you can have manage accounts, share accounts, uh, different stuffs, and you can go to, if you wanted to do contacts, you can go about contacts. So you can search here. It's a great place. You can search for different topics if you're not sure about it. So you always come here and look for it, right? Fantastic. So that's why I said you can go to help for this page. It will take you directly to the page. And if you wanted to go somewhere, you can still go to help for this page, and you can search, using a search box. So that's pretty handy, right? In my opinion, that's very handy. Cool. That's all I wanted to talk about today. So I hope you find this session useful. I know that if you're preparing for a platform app builder certification, I would encourage you to please go to Trailhead and do more hands-on. It's very important. Set up a business scenario, work with your learning buddy, set up a business scenario, practice, different, scenarios. It's very important you understand the scenario, because in exam, they will ask you different case by case scenario, practical scenarios. So you need to understand that, where each of this option will fit in, right? Please do not just, learn this platform, by going click here, click there. That's not really, handy, right? Because you're just using a tool. So tool is developed for a specific purpose. So you need to understand that purpose before using this tool, right? So that's all I wanted to say, because it's important you understand why you're trying to do this, right? I mean, why exactly you need a sharing rule at first place. If you don't understand why we need a sharing rule at first place, there's no point in learning how to set up a sharing rule, right? Right. Okay. So greetings and adios from New Zealand. Take care. Bye bye.